Support from friends, family, professionals, and community organizations is particularly important to individuals with special needs and the families that care for them. EP's annual Family and Community issue is filled with information and personal stories that are intended to help improve the lives of those with special needs and those who care for them. Sign up and read the issue for free at www.epmagazine.com.
Suicide is preventable, and each of us has a role to play in suicide prevention.
Suicide is complex. There is no single cause.
And it's not always a mental health issue. It could be loss of a job or home, financial or relationship issues, pain, or leaving the military.
Suicide does not discriminate. It affects all ages, races, and genders, veterans or not.
If you know a veteran who is struggling, connect with them. Let them know help is available.
There is quick and easy access to services in times of crisis.
Dial 988, then press 1. Talking about it is okay.
Don't keep it inside. Don't be ashamed. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and your host. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubuzoo Network. You can find out more on hubuzoo.com. I want to thank my sponsors, Joyce Asack of Asack Real Estate, Army National Guard veteran Mark Holmes of Reapers Detailing and Power Washing, and my supporters, all veteran-owned business, Bone Frog Warrior Apparel Company, Caisson Shaving Company, Black Cat Designs, and Savage American Woodwork. It's 2024. We're off to a fast start. I always love talking to people who have had to rebuild their lives multiple times. This man is no exception. So I want to introduce, without any further ado, no delay, Devon Brown, U.S. Marine Corps veteran and coach. Devon, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's a blessing to be here. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. Marine Corps, you went in, you did your thing, you got out, and you're doing this. We're going to get into all that. But you have a really interesting story, and you wanted to share it with me and other people because you're living like some coaches I run across, life coaches. I'm like, did they actually live what they're talking about? You've lived a lot of what you're talking about. We're going to get into all that. But first, kind of give us the background story of who you are and, how you got here.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Evergreen, North Carolina. Many people never heard of it. We only have one stoplight in the whole community. We probably got about 100 people there right now. And baseball was my sport of choice. But I just grew up making bad decisions. Baseball kind of saved my life a little bit, but outside the baseball field, I just hung out in the streets, made a lot of bad decisions. I ended up losing my baseball scholarship because I broke into someone's truck and stole their money, and then I went to jail for it. And then after I got out of jail, I wanted to just do something to change my life. I just wanted to do something to make my family proud. This phrase stick to me every single day. My grandmother always told me by the time I was 18, I would be dead or in jail. So every birthday I call them like, Grandma, I made it, like I'm 1 year closer. So actually my birthday is on Monday. So I can't wait to call and say, Grandma, I'm 36 now. Remember you said this 18 years ago? So I ended up joining the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps saved my life. It taught me, how to be disciplined. It taught me a bunch of morals and how to respect others and how to respect myself. And then I just seen like the looks on my family faces of how I made them happy, I made them proud, and I just wanted to keep that look. And then I ended up getting out of the Marine Corps, and I did some government contracting overseas in Kuwait and Iraq for 7 years. And then I came home. And then once I came home, I was like, okay, what's the second part of my journey? Like, what part now should I be doing? And I got into the coaching and speaking, but I don't want to say I got into it. I feel like it called me. I love sports, and I wanted to do anything just to stay around sports. So I got into public speaking and helping coach kids and baseball and any sport I can get around to. And now I've lived this journey of mistakes. Every mistake I made, I'm now to a point where I'm just trying to show the young athletes what not to do. You know, I didn't have me growing up. So I say I made the mistake so they don't have to. So now I'm in the public speaking. I travel around the world just speaking now. I just did a speaking gig at St. Augustine in Raleigh, North Carolina, to their first gen graduates, just sharing my story and just helping them understand, like, it doesn't matter what your background is, where you come from. The rear view mirror is smaller than the windshield for a reason. It doesn't matter what's behind you. It only matters about what's in front of you. And I'm here now just trying to help these young athletes. I'd rather see them doing what they love to do than in jail like I was.
Was going to jail before you got in the Marine Corps, was going to jail like a wake-up call saying, you know what, oops, if I'm not careful, I'm not going to see 18. I'm not going to see, 23, 27, 40. Was jail really that wake-up call for you? Or was it going to Paris Island and like, oh, wow, this is a different life?
Going to jail was that wake up moment where it was like, because I was on my second strike, and I was like, okay, it's either do something with your life or you're going to prison. You're going to be another statistic. My father wasn't in my life, and he was in and out of jail. And I always said I didn't want to replicate what my father did. So going to jail was that wake up moment. And actually, while I was in there, it was a deacon in there who was hosting a Bible study. And I joined the Bible study, and like 30 minutes into it, I heard my name called saying I made bail. And my first cousin was in there with me. And he told me, I do not want to see you ever in here again. You should not be in here. And that was like that wake up moment where I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? It's time to man up. And so I ended up joining the Marine Corps. When I stepped foot on those yellow footprints at Paris Island, I was like, oh yeah, it's getting real. And it made a man out of me, to be honest with you. I was always the one who, I could take a lot of pain, but the respect, discipline, how to overcome adversity, Paris Island and those 13 weeks really formed me to what I am today.
Yeah, let's unpack that a little bit. The only reason I want to stay there for just a minute is a lot of people don't understand that a person like yourself, or from a broken family or a family where the parental foundation isn't strong, goes from no order, no guidance, no foundation, to all of a sudden, you're getting built like right there in real time, right?
Yeah.
Did you were you like a sponge for that? Was that like, wow, this is awesome, even though you're getting yelled at and you're getting stressed out and you're not sleeping and you're eating at fast speed? Was it like, yes, this is the kind of life I want, when you started getting that kind of attention?
Yes. It's crazy because once they threw me in the sand pit, it was like, man, this is for real. This is like for real. This is what I want to do. And I can feel my body breaking down, but I can also feel it becoming what it was supposed to become. All the yelling and screaming, it didn't bother me. It was just the knowledge. Like, I was a sponge to, okay, what am I supposed to do in this situation? How do I become a better person in this situation? How do I respond to adversity? How do my body respond to pain? Like, I was a sponge in that moment, because I never had any order. I never had no one to say, hey, this is how you do A, B, C, D. So being there and seeing that was like, I knew, all right, this is what I should be doing. This is the order. This is the organization. This is the direction I should be taking. And then take everything that I've learned there into the real world whenever that time comes. I always said I was going to retire. But like that, I'm not gonna lie, them dollar signs look good once you start doing government contracting. But
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah,
if I
man.
could have done that, I would have done that. I mean, you got to get paid, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're sitting in a tank, which is a bullet magnet. There's all kinds of things that can kill a tank to
Yeah.
doing other work. Great. So you do all that. And by that time, to get those government contracts, you had to prove you were a different man, Devon. Like, you had to prove you're high speed, low drag accountable, all that stuff. After you got through with that, what was your transition out of that life like?
The transition out of the military was hard for me. I became a real bad alcoholic. I lost a lot of friendships and relationships because I was so used to just being so driven, so organized, just having my whole day planned out, to now I'm in the real world where there's nobody there telling me what to do at 8 o'clock or what to do at 09 or what to do at 1300. I don't have a set schedule anymore. So the transition was tough. I lost a lot of friendships. I became a real bad alcoholic, and I got to a point where I had to move in with the girlfriend I was talking to at the time because everything was getting repossessed. I lost a lot of money, and I kind of didn't have nowhere to live. And it got to a point where I tried to take my life. It was just so much. Yeah, so I tried to take my life. I drank myself into almost a blackout and just started driving. And then I ended up having a flat tire. And actually the police ended up pulling me over. And he actually called a suicide hotline with me that night. So it was tough. It took a lot to rebuild my life back over. And I lost everything. I lost everything. And then that was like a wake-up call for me, like, all right, you know, nobody's going to pull you out of this. You got to take back over your life. So I started doing a lot of people talk junk about the VA. But I had a good friend who worked there who got me into all the mental health facilities I need to take. I got into the AA meetings, and I took it serious because I didn't want to take my life anymore. I wanted to prove that I can be something. And then I started getting my life back on track. And then that's when the government contracts came, and I started doing government contracting. And once I got a government contract and with my coaching, I want to speak to a lot of veterans to let them know that their lives matter. There is life after the military. It's going to be tough. It's going to be dark. It's going to be hard. Surround yourself with the like-minded people to help you succeed and get where you need to be. And that's kind of on the journey that I'm taking now.
You went through some really dark times,
Yes, sir.
and then you got the help you needed, and then you got a government contract to speak and talk about this to other veterans.
Yes, I used to work at the VA hospital in Wilmington,
Okay.
North Carolina. So I use that as kind of leverage to help me talk to veterans as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So is this where the idea to, build your coaching career came from? Because you've lived it. You've
Yep.
lived it. You clearly lived it. You've come from, your own self-admitted mistakes to saying, I got to own it. I've got to take accountability. And that's the thing I'm going to ask you about. It seems like that you've made mistakes, but you're not glossing it over. You're not making excuses. You take accountability. How important is that to you, Devon?
That's huge for me because you can't keep blaming everyone else for your mistakes. One thing that I had a hard time dealing with was that my father wasn't in my life. So I always used that my father wasn't in my life as an excuse to act out or make bad decisions. And then I had to program myself to say, all right, he's gone. He's not coming back. So what are you going to do? There's nothing he can do for you. And whenever he wants to come back into your life, you need to become the person that you need to be. And so just started taking accountability for everything that came from the principles I learned in the military and all the government contracts and government agencies that I work with is accountability. And that's one of my principles. Like I guide by accountability. You can't blame anyone for whatever the situation you are in but yourself, because it's only going to be yourself to get you out of that situation. Nobody else is going to come. And you can have friends, family members, or whatever, but it's up to you to get yourself out of that situation.
And you got yourself out of the
Yep.
situation. You took accountability, got yourself out of the situation, and started this amazing. I'll have the link in the Oscar Mike Radio show post of your coaching career and your mission there. When did that start becoming something that you really embrace and you wanted to take forward in your life, Devon?
It started in 2022. It started in 2020, but I couldn't really do anything because of COVID. So 2022, I remember like it was yesterday. I was actually on my way to work, and I got into an accident. I got into a car accident, and in the midst of me just sitting there in that car accident, I'm sitting here saying to myself, "What are you doing?" And I got into a car accident because I picked up my phone when you're not supposed to be texting or driving. And I picked up my phone, and what happened was I said, "See, another mistake, and now you're in this situation." And so everything just started coming out like, all right, here's all the mistakes I've made in my life. Here's how I brought myself from those mistakes. Here's how that set of accountability. And I said to myself, you need to start showing people how to come back from their setbacks. And it took over from there. So, and then I started coaching. I started just teaching. Even at my jobs, I started just leading differently, just trying to show people how to become a better person. And my brother's a baseball coach for a division back at home. I go speak to the kids. I go speak to the students. And I started following like a lot of motivational speakers and just started studying and seeing, what are they saying, their stories. And I said, if they can do it, how come I can't do it? So now it's about to be 2 years now, and I travel just speaking to college students, middle school students, YMCA's, and just try to get them to understand, how to make the right decisions. Decision making, you got to be disciplined in decision making. That's one of the biggest things I've struggled with my entire life. So now I just want everyone else to try to make the right decisions and understand there are consequences for the wrong decisions. But it doesn't matter because you can always come back from that.
What's it like staying in front of, high school and college? God, I can't believe I'm saying this, kids,
Yeah.
and telling them the same story you're telling me. I mean, you see the looks on their faces, because a lot of people say, well, it's not even worth my time to talk to these people because they're young, they don't care, they don't listen, they're not interested, they're self-absorbed. But what do you see when you talk to them?
It's crazy because when I'm talking to them, a lot of them are me at a younger age. A lot of students grew up in a broken home. A lot of them grew up, without their father in their life. A lot of them are on the verge of making some of those same mistakes that I've made. And just seeing, I spoke to St. Augustine after I finished speaking, and one of the girls came up to me. She just shook my hand and gave me a hug, and she was like, I wish my nephew was here because I am so afraid of him growing up and going through some of the same stuff that you were going through. And that's what it's about for me. It's about the impact. Just getting them to understand, like, look, your goals, your dreams are right there, just to reach away. Just stay the course. Here's the mistakes that I made, and here's what happened, and here's how I lost it. But for me, I own it now. Like, I'm not afraid to share my story. In the beginning, it was difficult because I didn't know how people would think of me because when I'm speaking in my hometown, they know the things I used to do. So I'm like, okay, they're gonna think I'm a fraud. You know what I mean? But now when I go speak, though, they see like, man, I remember this guy. He was in the paper. He was breaking in people's homes, breaking in people's houses. And now he's successful by just telling his story. So I'm just getting them to understand that whatever your story is, this is your story. Don't be afraid to share it. And one thing I always tell someone is, your story, you never know, someone else needs to hear it. They need to hear it. They could be going through the same thing.
One of the things that really connected me with you when, we started talking about coming on and doing this is, no matter what point of life you're in, it seems like if you choose to and take accountability like you have, you can change your story.
Yes.
But for a lot of people, that's hard, right? How do you get to somebody who's so in their rut that they can't see they can change their story? They can take that fork in the road, right?
Right. One thing I started doing was surrounding myself with like-minded people, surrounding myself with the people who are on the same path that I'm on. Growing up, I always surrounded myself with people who were doing the wrong things. So I started gravitating towards that. Once you surround yourself with like-minded people who is in the same path, you are what you see. So if you're seeing nothing but positivity and good things happening, that's what you're going to want to become. When you're hanging around people who's doing all these great things, it's going to make you feel like you can do those same things as well. And that's one of the things I preach to them as well. Like, it's okay if you lose your friends by trying to become the best version of yourself. And if you lose them, so what? Because they weren't your real friends anyway. I tell them your real friends are the ones who want to see you succeed and become the best version of yourself. Those are your friends. And I lost a lot of people becoming the person I am today. And I'm okay with it. And once I've accepted that, I became the best version of myself. And that's what I try to get them to understand. I know it's hard, but if you are hanging around people who are drinking and smoking and stealing or doing whatever, you're going to gravitate to that. But if you're hanging around people who are successful, they're going around doing nothing but good deeds, you're going to gravitate towards that. So that's one of the main things I try to tell them. Surround yourself with the same people who are going to help you change your mindset. Mindset is everything.
So talking about mindset, you have the D.E.B.O, the D.E.B.O mentality.
Yes, sir.
And I really wanted to unpack that because I'm a Marine, you're a Marine. It's simple. It has to be Marine proof, right?
Yep.
So what is the D.E.B.O mentality? Because it seems like this is something that you impart to these students, these people, and
Yep.
these veterans you coach. So go into that for me, please.
Yeah, the D.E.B.O mentality, and it derived. My nickname is D.E.B.O. I received that nickname from my baseball coach at a younger age, and then I don't think some people really don't even know my real name. Like all they know is D.E.B.O. And so I formed the D.E.B.O mentality, and it's 4 principles that I kind of struggle with, but now there are 4 principles that I use to get me to where I am today. And the D stands for discipline.
Okay.
Discipline is doing something you absolutely hate, but doing it as if you love it. And that's what I think about discipline. I know I don't want to get up and go to this 8 o'clock class in the morning, but I got to be disciplined enough to do it to get my degree. I know I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and do PT, but I know it's going to help me get promoted. Just doing those things you hate doing, but just doing it as if you love it. And then the E is for execute. I was always the one who always just talk and talk and talk. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. But I never put anything into action. And now I am executing everything that I said I wanted to do. I said I was gonna get my bachelor's degree. I got my bachelor's degree. Yeah, it took me 16 years after high school to get it, but I got it done. I said I was gonna be a motivational speaker. I'm a motivational speaker now. I started finding out what I need to do to get to those levels. I wrote it down and I was just checking off, celebrating the little wins. And now I'm starting to execute everything I said I wanted to do. And then the B stands for brave. Face your fears. We all fear something. My biggest fear was getting up speaking in front of 1 million people because I took speech all the way up to 11th grade. So I couldn't pronounce a lot of words. But now I get up there and just share my story. And I love speaking. It's like it's my passion. I love it as much as I love playing baseball. It's like when I get that mic in my hand, first inning, I'm a little nervous. But after I get them first 5 minutes out the way, it's go time. And that's kind of how I address it now. Like I love doing it and I get nervous every time I get ready to stand up. But I face those fears and tell my story. And one of the biggest things that I've had to face was losing a lot of good friends, like a lot of people I grew up with my whole entire life that now I'm had to cut them off because they're just not in alignment with what I want to do. So just be brave, face your fears, and do whatever you need to do to make it happen. And then the O is what I struggled with was overcoming adversity. I've overcame so much in my life that it's crazy. Like I overcame 8 surgeries. I broke my jaw twice. I had my mouth wired shut for 6 months. I've overcame, going to jail. I've overcame my father not being in my life. I've overcame my mother having, to work all the time and don't really be in our life, being raised by my grandmother. I've overcame suicide. Just being able to overcome those adversities and just seeing that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And that's where the D.E.B.O mentality came for, those 4 principles that I use now: discipline, execute, brave, and overcome. And I preach those, and that's my message to the world.
It's simple though, but it makes sense.
Yep.
You can't have progress without discipline. You have to execute.
Yep.
Talk is cheap. You have to execute. And yeah, bravery's part of it. It's brave going into a tank. It's brave standing in that batter's box. It's brave, getting ready to jump into that pool of water.
Yeah.
Right. And then overcome. I mean, it almost sounds like that you'll always be trying to overcome some obstacle to be your best self. That's what it
Yes,
sounds like.
exactly. I'm always looking for the next best thing. Okay, they said I couldn't do this. All right, how am I going to do this? They said I couldn't do this. All right, I'm about to do this. Like I'm always looking for that. I'm a sponge now. Like I always want to know. All right, what's next? Give me the information. All right, I can't go speak in front of 100 students. Watch this. I'm about to go speak in front of 100 students. I went to recruit trainer not knowing how to swim. All right, I'm about to jump off this diving board and get me and qualify. I went to boot camp not knowing how to shoot a rifle. I'm an expert when I left up out of there. You know what I'm saying? So just being able to do whatever somebody else say you could do it, and I love it. And I used to do it just to try to prove everybody else wrong, but now I'm just doing it to prove to myself that I can do it. Like I don't care about the outside world at this point.
So just one thing to clarify: do you do the speaking
Yes,
in front
sir.
of groups of people? Call me sir. I'm a Lance
That's
Corporal.
right. That's right. My bad.
It's all right. It's all right. You do the group speaking, but do you also do individual one-on-one coaching? Do you group coaching? How's the coaching part work?
The coaching part is mostly groups. I tried the one-on-one, but I get the best bang for my buck in the groups because I love being able to reach a group of people. And then when I'm with a group of people, I can kind of see their minds start working, and we all kind of transform into, this one highway. It's crazy because I had a group of 8 guys. All of us came from different neck of the woods, alcohol, drugs, jail, successful. And then we were just talking about our problems, and I'm there just teaching them like, hey, these are the 4 principles that I use, and this is how I've used it. And then I start asking them, how can you apply this to what you're going through? And it's crazy how you can see 8 people who are all separated start going in alignment. So I love the groups. The groups are my thing.
So what happens? You get a group of people together, whether you're speaking to them or coaching them. What's your approach to if you're getting coached by somebody, like if you're having trouble hitting or catching the ball, right? You got a coach there looking at you, seeing what you're doing right or wrong. How do you evaluate a group to understand where they need the most help? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So I like for them to be more engaged and tell me what issues they're having. I like to, and then I never go in there letting them think, hey, I'm just hot shot. Like I go in there letting them know, hey, y'all, I'm not making, like, I haven't made all the best decisions either. Here's where I struggle at, and here are some of the things I'm still struggling with, and this is what we can do together to get there. And I think by me just being so vulnerable to them, it opens up so much more dialogue. It gets them to understand, like, man, he's really telling his story. He's really human. Because a lot of people, when they see somebody who's talking in front of a lot of people, they think they never make mistakes or they don't go through anything because that's all they see. They don't see the struggle, what it took to get there. So just getting them to, all right, what's your issues? Where are you struggling at? Where are you succeeding at? What can we do better to help you get to this goal? What are your goals? And I always tell them to write it down. Hey, we're gonna write this down because you see it. Once you see it, it's like it's there. All right, I gotta account for this right here. And then we celebrate the small wins. And I always tell him, like, okay, what you want to do? He'd be like, hey, I want to make it to, we just use the NBA, for example. What are the steps you need to take to make it to the NBA? I need to graduate high school. I need to graduate college. I need to do this. I need to make sure I go to practice. And we write it down. And every goal that we hit, we check it off, even the small wins. So just getting them to understand, like, hey, it's okay to celebrate the small wins. It's okay. And it's not overnight success. Usain Bolt said it himself. I practiced and ran 9 years just to run, 9 seconds. So it's not overnight success.
So what do you do? Because in my world, progress isn't linear. You don't start here and go all the way up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the other way. But you know what I'm saying? It's not like a straight line. There's bumps in the road. How do you tell people to deal with the bumps in the road that life puts in front of you? You're going through life, and then you get maybe a physical injury, or you studied real hard, but you still failed that test, and it knocks you back a couple steps. And you've lived this, so you've done this.
Yep.
But how do you tell them to kind of like brush themselves off and get back up and get back in the fight? What's your approach to that, Devon?
Yep. I always tell them, I always use my degree as an example. It took me 16 years to get a 4-year degree. That's a long time. And it was a crooked road, just like you said. And I try to just tell them every step I took, what kicked me back, and how I've changed my mindset to start seeing, all right, this is just a bump in the road. Because once we get kicked, knocked down, a lot of us like to stay in it. And I tell them it's okay, stay in it, but don't live in it. Stay in it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, do whatever you got to do, and remember that feeling, and then dust yourself off and get back up. And always remember, you don't want to have that feeling again. And when I use that analogy, they kind of understand it. And I tell them, like I said, it took me 16 years. I remember losing my baseball scholarship and getting kicked out of college. And I stayed there for a while. And then at a moment, you get to say, okay, I can't live in it. I got to get back up. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. And it got to a point where now I don't say plan for it, but I expect it. So now I expect, okay, I want to get here. So I know somewhere down the road, it's going to be a bump on the road. So once I start expecting it, and when it hits, it don't hit me as hard as it would. And I'm like, all right, it's going to be a straight line. I'm not going to have any issues. And then when I get that kick in the butt, I'm like, man, what do I do here? And I think it just comes from a lot of just reality of going through stuff as well. Some of us had it harder than others, and some of us are going to have it easier. But once we hit that bump in the road, I tell them, hey, sit there, think about it, soak in it. I don't care, but just don't live there. Remember that feeling. And then when you dust yourself back off, just know, okay, this is what I did, and this is how I got kicked back, and I don't want to go back there. So now what can we do to make sure we don't make that same mistake again?
Sure. You haven't been coaching for what some people consider a long time, but you've been doing it for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
What's it like when someone either, through social media or email or, your website says, hey, you know what? You came and talked to me and I learned from it, and here's where I'm at in life now. I got to win. What's it like when you get that kind of feedback?
It makes me feel so good. I actually got one. I got like 9 people that hit. I spoke at St. Augustine on a Friday. By the next Friday, I had like 9 people DM me and say, hey, I listened to your message, because I was speaking to a bunch of first-gen graduates or first-generation students. And a lot of them were struggling because they're like, man, I don't feel like going to school at 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to go party. And I use an analogy of where at one point in time in my college career, I was struggling in writing. So what I did was I hosted a writing party. But I didn't post it as a writing party. I was like, hey, I'm having a party at my house, man. I need someone if you can write, if you're a tutor, I need you here. And when we got there, we're like, hey, y'all, look, we about to have a writing party. I'm struggling. And they thought it was a joke, but once we got into it and they really started helping out, it was like, man, this is crazy. I didn't know there's this many people that would really want to help. And then so a few guys were like, hey, y'all, I got a tutor. Like I got a tutor, and they were partying a lot. They were like, hey, we had a party on Tuesday, but I had a test on Wednesday, but I didn't go to the party because you said you got to be disciplined and do what you need to do. So it makes me feel good to understand that my message is getting across. I mean, and I understand that my message is not going to be for everybody. One thing that I realized in this world is that there's 8 billion people in this world, and you're not going to have all 8 billion people rock with you, but you're going to have your group it's going to click. And that's what it means to me. I love hearing other people win. And that's what I'm here for. Just how can I help you win? It's just the impact for me at this moment. What can I do to bring the biggest value to you and help you succeed in whatever you want to do?
And so by doing that, would you say you found your true calling and purpose in life?
Yeah. Yep. This is it. This is when I'm around people, like I just get jittery and I get happy. It's like I always tell people, whenever you go to a job, when you don't care about the money and it's just this is what you want to do, like that's your calling. A lot of people just work dead end jobs because they just want a paycheck and they're miserable and they're bored. But when you and I used to work at Dick's part-time, and I love working at Dick's because I get to go to work and talk about sports all day. Like that is my passion. So once you find your passion, what you're driven, what you're called to do, it's not work to you. It's like I wake up every morning, like, all right, how can I help somebody today? And that's just how I approach everything now, because I just love adding value and helping people. And this is it. I've done so much in my life, and I've never felt the passion and the joy that it gives me for somebody just to come with me and give me a hug. Sometimes they cry on my shoulder, and just knowing that my message helped them through something, no matter what it is, just something. It gives me chills at night sometimes, just knowing that, man, I'm a small town kid, kleptomaniac, breaking into people's homes and cars and schools, lost my scholarship. And now I'm this person who's just helping people, helping children. I get messages all the time like, hey, can you talk to my cousin? He's doing this. Or can you talk to my nephew? He's doing that. And it just makes me feel good.
You're feeling good right now. You're going into, well, it's 2024 when this drops. We recorded in 2023. What's next for Devon in this year? What are you trying to do in 2024 to move your career and your calling forward?
2024, I want to get, like, I have this thing where I'm a baseball fanatic. So 2024, my goal is to somehow partner and speak to at least 2 MLB teams. And I know once I make it there, like, all right, man, you've done it. Like that's it for me. That's like the crown for me. Being able to partner and speak with the Major League Baseball, like that's my pride and joy. Because that was my sport. That's what I should have been playing. But because of decisions I made, I didn't make it there. So now, how else can I make it to the MLB and get this partnership? And I think once I reach that, man, it's hats off, take the hats off, celebrate from there.
Now, what is it about baseball? So look, folks, we're going to have the link to Devon's website in the Oscar Mike Radio show post. But just let's talk sports for a minute, because I grew up, loving baseball. What is it about baseball that you like so much?
One, I became, growing up, it was like I tried basketball. I was good at basketball. Football, I tried it, but for some reason, when I got that glove and that bat in my hand, it was like tunnel vision. It was like a gift that I didn't know I had, and I love playing, just being able to hear everybody, and it's all eyes on you. It's almost, baseball is the one sport that you can fail 3 out of 10 times and still make it to the MLB. People don't understand that you can fail 7 out of 10 times, bat 300 and still make it to the MLB, and it's crazy, and it's just so it's great, it's dope just when you're there, all the crowd, the noise, you outside, the lights, it's like, man, how I guess you gotta have that feeling and understanding and know, like, man, I have a gift. And baseball it feel like it saved my life. If it wasn't for baseball, I probably would have been in so much more trouble. And I met so many people growing up. And I also feel like I gravitated to it as well, because that's where a lot of my baseball coaches were like the role models I had growing up as well. So as long as I kept playing baseball, I knew somebody was going to be there to try to get me in the right direction, because I didn't have a father. So, and it was like, man, and I just put in the work. But I just didn't have that mentality of, all right, you got to leave this part alone. And man, it's just a joy. I play a lot of travel softball now just to try to stay around the game as well. And when I'm out there in that field and see those lights on at night, man, it's like showtime. All right, showtime.
That's awesome. Do you like the new rules with baseball? Do you like the pitch clock? Do you like the smaller bat, the larger bases? Do you like all that?
I think I see what they're trying to do by trying to speed up the game. For me, it's hard to watch it on television regardless. It's hard to watch it for 2 hours, but I love being live. When you're live, it's a totally different vibe. Yeah.
Like TV, I'll fall asleep. But if even if some minor league or one of those high school games, I'm into it, man. I'm like, okay, he's gonna throw a strike next, and he threw a strike. Same thing. What are you swinging at the? Just wait for your pitch, right? It's really different live. It's not like football or hockey. Like baseball is better live.
Yes, and it feel like it flies by.
Yeah.
By the time you know it, they're doing the 7th inning stretch, and then now it's like 9th inning. So, right. Yeah, them trying to speed up the game, I understand it. But there's always a loophole somewhere. I've seen a lot of it this year as well through the games and stuff. But they got to do what they got to do to try to keep it from being a 3-4 hour game to at least a 2 hour game.
Sure. So let's just say, for sake of argument, that I'm an MLB, PR executive, and I stumble across this show with me and you talking, and I want to contact you because we're gonna visualize it, right? We're gonna manifest you being in front of an MLB team next year. Okay. How would we contact you? How would we make that happen? What's the best way to get a hold of you for coaching or speaking engagements, MLB or otherwise?
Yeah, my phone number is always open. I give my real phone number out so they can call me or text me directly, especially through text. And that's my number is 910-859-4933. And also my Instagram handle is D.E.B.O Inspires. Shoot me a DM. And those are the two main ways to get a hold of me, because I check those text messages and IG DMs. I check those daily.
Okay. All right. So again, what I'm hearing out of this conversation is really refreshing from the aspect where the Marine Corps, gave you the chance you needed, right? And you acknowledge that, to the fact that you clearly take accountability for your life's path, but then you have this discipline, execution, bravery, and overcome foundation for people to embrace. It just seems like that you're just now really on the start of something good, and it's just really great to see in this day and age this level of accountability, Devon. It really is different. I hate to say it like that, but you see so many people trying to, it's not my fault, or I didn't mean to do it, or it was just an accident, or just outright lie to you. You're saying embrace your faults and flaws.
Yes.
Understand what you did wrong and fix it, because I like what your website says. A bad past does not mean a bad future.
Yes.
But you got to make the choice, right? You have to make that choice every day, right?
Yes, you have to get up and understand, like, all right, what I did yesterday doesn't matter. How do we move forward? And just owning it, accepting accountability for everything. Nobody is going to get you to where you need to go but yourself. A lot people say they're going to help you along the way, but at the end of the day, you got to make that decision and say, okay, I want to do this. You have to make that decision of whatever it is. It got to come from you and your mindset. Once you change your mindset, your body follows whatever it is.
Fantastic. Outstanding, Marine. Anything before we close? Floor is yours.
Yeah, I like to tell everybody, like I just said, a bad past does not mean a bad future. It doesn't matter what you've done in your past. Just make that decision to move forward. Your past is your past. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. You are powerful. Tell yourself all these things every morning. I'm powerful. I'm great. I'm powerful beyond measures. You are the person who's the narrative in your own story. So whatever you got to do to reach where you need to go, make the right decisions. You got to be disciplined, execute your actions, be brave, and face all of your fears and overcome whatever adversity that's going to happen, because there are going to be roadblocks. There's going to be roadblocks, I guarantee you. But just understand that you can get through anything. And once you do that, the floor, the world, anything you want to do is yours.
Well, I hope that you get to talk in front of an MLB team next year. That would be absolutely, outstanding, and really, really a proof, validation, whatever you want to call it, that
yes,
the big dude upstairs, the commandant, the supreme commandant,
yes,
heard what you had to say. So I know he's listening. I know Chelsea's listening right now. I just want to thank you for coming on and talking this way. Well, I can learn from this. I can learn from what you've done. I don't have to be a college student. I don't have to be a high school, kid. Even as an adult, there's still this aspect of, okay, I can take accountability right now. I can be disciplined right now. And so I just want to thank you for sharing so openly and candidly, and all the best to you, and Semper Fi, Marine.
Semper Fi, appreciate it. God bless.
Well, look, hey, folks, I'm going to have the link to Devon's Instagram, website, and Oscar Mike Radio show post along with his phone number. Text him, please. You've heard it right here. You've heard a way to, rebuild or restart your life at any given time. As we say in Oscar Mike Radio, Devon, we are mission in flight. Thank you again.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Remember, on it teaches our mission. We care about it, we do it every day. But I think there are things that just hit you and give you a reason to go on. The theme for our 2024 for Reach Across America is Live with Purpose. It just seemed to fit in with the vows of the REAP, the 10 attributes that we feel represent our United States military. I thought, what a great opportunity to put those two things together and show our kids through how we act some of the things that can make their lives better, their communities better, and by doing that, the country better. For me, Live with Purpose, I think, it's a mindset. Set some guidelines and then go out and purposefully make life different, make a change. It's an opportunity to set an example.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load Co-Sinister One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.